Hello, my name is Pooja. Welcome to this week's episode of Around the World. In today's episode, we will talk about our neighboring country China and its rising dispute with Taiwan. One instance of how global politics is shaping was recently seen in the form of tensions between the US and China. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, the whole world has been surrounded by various speculations. One such speculation is that China can attack Taiwan at any time. For this reason, the Russia-Ukraine war has also been linked to the looming China-Taiwan crisis. The crisis deepened when the Speaker of the lower house of the US Congress visited Taiwan recently. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the lower house of the US Congress, was on a visit to Asia. She left for Malaysia, South Korea, Singapore, and Japan with a delegation. However, after visiting Malaysia, she suddenly left for Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. The news of her arrival in Taiwan caused uproar in global politics. The Chinese government hastily threatened the US to bear the brunt of this visit. China vociferously criticized the US move. China got so anguished due to Pelosi's visit that the Chinese Foreign Ministry stated that the US is using Taiwan to surround China. It is constantly violating the One China policy. It is fueling the freedom campaign of Taiwan's separatists. The US is playing with fire and it is quite dangerous. Those who play with fire will burn themselves. Now, several significant questions arise at this juncture. Firstly, why China is so anguished by Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? Secondly, what is China's One China policy about which China is so serious? And thirdly, is Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan a well thought out strategy of the US government? We will discuss all these aspects in today's story. First of all, let us know about the One China policy. You can watch our old episodes to learn about China's One China policy in detail. The link has been given in the description below for your convenience. Actually, China does not recognize Taiwan as an independent country. It considers Taiwan a Chinese territory. This policy of China is known as the One China policy. Most countries of the world also recognize China's One China policy. As per a BBC report, only 13 countries in the world consider Taiwan as an independent and sovereign country. China maintains diplomatic pressure on other countries for not recognizing Taiwan. China tries to prevent other countries from doing something that presents Taiwan as a recognized independent country. Therefore, China always remains aggressive and serious about One China policy. It is noteworthy that the US also supports this policy of China. However, Taiwan is counted among those islands called the first island chain, which includes areas close to the US. These areas are considered cardinal for US foreign policy, yet the US officially supports the One China policy. Now, a significant question arises that when the US supports the One China policy, then why a US MP visited Taiwan? When the matter came into the limelight, then the US clarified that Pelosi's visit to Taiwan is unofficial. The Biden administration distanced itself from Pelosi's Taiwan visit by reiterating that both houses of the US Congress are autonomous bodies and their members are free to visit any country in the world. However, China did not accept the clarification given by the US. Actually, the US may have described Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan as unofficial. But China holds that neither Pelosi is an ordinary woman nor her visit is ordinary. Pelosi is a Democratic Party MP from California, USA. We have already informed you that Pelosi is the Speaker of the US House of Representatives. Hence, she is the third most powerful person in the US after the President and the Vice President. Furthermore, the Democratic Party is in power in the US. Pelosi is the most senior US leader to visit Taiwan in the last 25 years. Earlier, Newt Gingrich, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, visited Taiwan in 1997. Now the problem is that, on one hand, the US supports the One China policy, while on the other hand it also takes such actions. However, this is not for the first time that the US has angered China with its actions. Recently, US President Joe Biden had stated that if China attacks Taiwan, then the US will defend Taiwan. Biden's statement differs from the old stance of US on Taiwan. When Biden was asked that whether the US would defend Taiwan, then he stated that yes, the US is committed to doing so. As a result, tensions between China and the US has escalated. Later, a White House spokesperson had to clarify that Biden's remarks should not be taken as a change in US policy. Moreover, foreign affairs experts hold different views on the frequent changes in the US stance on Taiwan. Some experts view the US move as politics of provocation because the relationship between the US and China has been very tense over the past few years. The US is striving hard to counter China in the South China Sea as well as the Indo-Pacific region. However, the US efforts do not seem to have any significant effect on China. When Pelosi visited Taiwan, then China gave its soldiers a free hand. It was also reported that a few minutes after Pelosi's arrival in Taiwan, China sent a Su-35 fighter jet into the Taiwan Strait. However, the US did not react to the Chinese action. Actually, China's spirits are high after the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia is an ally of China and it has been successful in prolonging the war in Ukraine. China has now understood that the US is not in a state to fight a war over Taiwan issue. It has also understood that after the Ukraine war, the US does not want to get involved in any other war. Therefore, China has become more aggressive towards Taiwan. Experts are of the view that tensions have escalated between both the countries to such a degree for the first time. They are also of the view that the war will actually be fought between China and the US instead of China and Taiwan. If the war between China and the US starts, then it will have the biggest impact on South Asia. However, it will be interesting to see at what point the Sino-US tensions will end and what will be its effect on the geopolitics of South Asia. In the next segment of the Sunday special episode of Around the World, we will discuss some other important international news. Recently, Minister of Commerce and Industry Shri Piyush Goyal addressed the 13th session of the India-Uzbekistan Intergovernmental Commission held in New Delhi. During his address, he emphasized taking the relationship between the two countries forward through new areas like technology, digital payment solutions and investment in startups. He also stated that the MSME sector is the most cardinal of the 7 emerging focus areas in the development of the relationship between the two countries. Apart from the MSME, digital payments, space cooperation, agriculture and dairy pharmaceuticals, gems and jewelry, and inter-regional cooperation are some other emerging focus areas. India-Uzbekistan bilateral trade stood at $247 million in 2019 and 20, which grew by 38.5% to $342 million in 21-22, despite the corona pandemic. Significantly, both the countries are celebrating the 30th anniversary of their diplomatic relations in 2022. According to the Russian news agency, recently, Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was on his first official visit to Myanmar. He held talks with Myanmar's junta on security and economic issues during his visit. Russia has been a major supporter of Myanmar's junta. Russian Foreign Minister has visited Myanmar at a time when a meeting of ASEAN countries is scheduled in Cambodia in a few days. Russian representatives will also participate in this meeting. In such a scenario, the Russian Foreign Minister's visit to Myanmar is being viewed as a challenge to the West. Russia remains Myanmar's top arms supplier, despite several countries imposing sanctions against supplying arms to Myanmar. Recently, Venezuela and Colombia agreed to re-establish diplomatic relations after years of tension. This agreement was reached in a meeting held in San Cristobal between Venezuela's Foreign Minister Carlos Faria and Colombia's upcoming Foreign Minister Ivaro Leiva. This meeting is being considered as an attempt to restore diplomatic relations between the two countries. The relations between the two countries are at loggerheads due to migrants and diplomatic differences. For this reason, the two countries had ended their political relations again in 2021. Recently, the Russian Supreme Court declared Ukraine's military unit, the Azov Regiment, as a terrorist group. Consequently, Russia is imprisoning hundreds of soldiers of the Azov Regiment. The Azov Regiment is the same troop that played a pivotal role in defending the southeastern Ukrainian city of Mariupol. Hence, the regiment was repeatedly portrayed by Russian authorities and media group as a Nazi group committing atrocities against the citizens of Ukraine. The Azov Regiment is a unit within the National Guard of Ukraine It has evolved from a group called Azov Battalion formed in 2014. The Southeast Asian country Myanmar has been facing political, economic, social and humanitarian crises for the past years. Earlier, Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing carried out a coup in February 2021 against the elected government of Myanmar led by Aung San Suu Kyi. Then, all the civilian leaders were taken into custody and violent action was taken against the protests that started in support of democracy in the country. According to a monitoring group, more than 2,000 civilians have been killed in this action since the coup. The G7, a coalition of the world's richest democracies, expressed concerns over the human rights violations in Myanmar and want its junta to stop arbitrary executions and release all political prisoners. The G7 alliance includes Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom and United States. Let's look at our question. What are the implications of US MP Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? Will this affect China's One China policy? Analyze.